How to handle disrespect like a Stoic. Introduction, the test of disrespect. What do you do when someone disrespects you? Do you lash out? Do you let it slide? Or do you remain completely unfazed, calm, collected, untouchable? Most people react emotionally. They get angry, defensive, or worse, desperate for approval. They let the opinions of others dictate their mood, their self-worth, and even their actions. But the truth is, respect is never taken, it's commanded. And the way you respond to disrespect determines how much respect you ultimately receive. Disrespect is a test. It's a moment that reveals your character, your discipline, and your ability to rise above petty provocations. A weak person is controlled by insults. A Stoic remains unmoved, like a mountain standing firm against the wind. They don't let the noise of the outside world disturb the peace within, because they understand something most people don't. You cannot control what others say, only how you respond. Every time someone belittles you, you have two choices. React with emotion and let them win. Respond with wisdom and show them that their words are powerless against you. A Stoic always chooses the latter. They don't fight for respect. They command it, through presence, through discipline, through absolute control over themselves. And today, I'll show you exactly how to do the same. Lesson 1. Mastering your reactions. A great leader is not one who rules over others, but one who first rules over themselves. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to react, to fight back, to put them in their place. But that's where most people go wrong. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're at work. A colleague undermines you in a meeting, making you look incompetent in front of everyone. Your blood boils. Your ego screams at you to fire back, to prove them wrong. Now let's pause. What happens if you snap? You argue, you get defensive, you try to prove your intelligence. And what does everyone see? Not a strong, confident individual, but someone emotionally reactive, someone rattled. But what if you handled it differently? Imagine instead, you simply pause. You take a slow breath. You nod, let the words settle. And then, without a hint of emotion, you say, "That's an interesting perspective. I'd love to hear more about why you think that." Suddenly, the room shifts. Now, instead of looking defensive, you look like a leader. Instead of validating their insult with a reaction, you've turned the spotlight back on them. And more often than not, they'll stumble. Because most people who disrespect you aren't expecting calmness. They're expecting chaos. A Stoic knows that reacting emotionally only validates the insult. If someone calls you weak and you explode in anger, haven't they just proven their point? If they insult your intelligence and you scramble to defend yourself, haven't you just given them control over your emotions? True strength is the ability to remain unshaken. Disrespect is a game, and most people play right into it. But when you remain composed, you strip their words of power. Lesson 2. The power of restraint. A Stoic never lets a fool dictate their actions. Let's look at history. There's a famous story about Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and philosopher. He was constantly surrounded by critics, enemies, and people who sought to tear him down. But how did he respond? With silence. One day, a man stood before him in public and began insulting him, shouting slurs, trying to provoke a reaction. Marcus simply listened, nodded, and walked away. When someone later asked why he hadn't responded, he simply said, "He was speaking to my title, not to me." He understood a simple truth. Insults are only as powerful as the reaction they provoke. If you don't react, you take away their power. Now, think about your own life. Maybe a stranger insults you online. Maybe a coworker makes a passive-aggressive comment. Maybe a family member constantly belittles your ambitions. The instinct is to react, to argue, to prove yourself. But before you do, ask yourself, does this person's opinion truly affect my reality? Or is it just noise? Does their insult define me? Or do my actions speak for themselves? Instead of retaliating, visualize yourself as an immovable pillar. A simple smirk, a nod, or even complete silence can be your most powerful weapon. Power is not in your words. Power is in your restraint. Lesson 3. The chessboard mentality. A true leader does not react like a pawn. They strategize like a Stoic. Disrespect is often a trap. People insult you because they want a reaction. They want to pull you into their emotional chaos. But when you refuse to engage, you turn the tables. Think about Muhammad Ali. When he was a young fighter, he was constantly disrespected by opponents, by reporters, even by the boxing commission. But he never reacted emotionally. Instead, he turned their words into fuel. He smiled. He let them talk. And then, in the ring, he proved them all wrong. That's the chessboard mentality. Most people play checkers, reacting impulsively to every move. A Stoic plays chess. They think moves ahead. They don't waste energy on meaningless fights. They conserve it for battles that truly matter. Not every insult requires a response. And by choosing your battles wisely, you win without even fighting. Final thought, the next time you face disrespect, the next time someone disrespects you, do this. Take a deep breath. Let the initial emotion pass. Count to 5. Give yourself space to choose a response instead of reacting impulsively. Ask yourself, does this person's opinion change who I am? If it doesn't, let it go. A simple smirk, silence, or a nod can be more powerful than 1,000 words. A Stoic does not beg for respect. They do not demand it. They command it. Not through anger, not through words, but through presence, discipline, and absolute self-control. Master yourself, and no insult will ever shake you again. How to command respect without saying a word. Introduction: the chessboard of disrespect. Have you ever been in a situation where someone tried to get under your skin? Maybe they insulted you, belittled you, or tried to make you feel small. Most people react exactly how the aggressor wants. They get angry, defensive, or flustered. But a Stoic? A Stoic does something different. They don't play checkers, they play chess. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." Think about that. No one can truly disrespect you without your permission. It's not their words that hold power, it's your reaction. A Stoic does not argue with fools. They do not waste energy on meaningless battles. Instead, they choose their responses like a chess master choosing their moves, with purpose. Disrespect is a mind game. Those who provoke you do so to gain control over your emotions. But once you understand their game, you neutralize their strategy. So, let's break it down. How do you handle disrespect like a true Stoic? How do you command respect without ever demanding it? Lesson 1. Mastering the pause. Most people believe strength is about dominance, about being the loudest in the room, the most aggressive, the most forceful. But true strength is restraint. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're at work. A coworker takes credit for your idea in front of your boss. Your ego screams for you to call them out, to make a scene, to prove them wrong. But what if you did the opposite? Instead of reacting instantly, you pause, you take a breath, you observe, you turn to them and say, with calm certainty, "I'm glad you like that idea. I have a few more insights to add." Suddenly, the power dynamic shifts. You haven't given them what they wanted, a flustered, defensive reaction. Instead, you've taken control. You've shown composure, which commands more respect than an emotional outburst ever could. Disrespect thrives on reaction. But the moment you refuse to engage emotionally, you strip it of its power. A delayed reaction is often a refined reaction. Before responding, ask yourself, does this person's opinion truly matter? Is this reaction serving my long-term interests or just my short-term emotions? If the answer is no, then silence or a calm, calculated response is your strongest move. Lesson 2. Seeing through the provocation. People who provoke others aren't always as powerful as they seem. More often than not, their insults reveal their own insecurities. Take Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. He was one of the most powerful men in history, yet he was constantly insulted by his enemies, critics, and even those within his own court. How did he respond? With absolute indifference. One day, a man publicly insulted him, trying to humiliate him in front of others. Marcus didn't argue. He didn't retaliate. He simply said, "He was speaking to my title, not to me." And then he walked away. He understood something most people don't. An insult says more about the person speaking it than the person receiving it. Next time someone disrespects you, instead of taking it personally, ask yourself, are they projecting their own insecurities? Are they seeking attention? Are they trying to manipulate my emotions? Once you see through their intent, it's much easier to remain unaffected. It's like watching a child throw a tantrum. You don't argue with them. You recognize the behavior for what it is, a desperate attempt to gain control. Lesson 3, commanding respect without saying a word. Respect is never demanded, it's commanded, and not through words, but through presence. A Stoic walks into a room, and people sense their strength. They don't have to prove anything, they don't have to fight for attention. Their energy speaks louder than words. How? Posture. Stand like you belong. A slouched posture signals weakness, uncertainty, and submission. A strong posture, shoulders back, chin up, radiates quiet confidence. Science backs this up. Standing tall not only makes you appear more powerful, but it actually changes your mindset, increasing self-assurance and reducing stress. Eye contact, the silent signal of strength. When you enter a room, hold your gaze with calm confidence. Not aggression, not avoidance, but steady composure. This signals to others that you are present, in control, and unshaken. People who constantly seek approval break eye contact quickly. People who command respect hold it naturally. Silence, the most underrated power. Move. When someone insults you, pause before responding. That pause forces them to sit with their own words. It unsettles them because most people expect a reaction. Instead of giving them what they want, let them feel the weight of your silence. Think of it like this. In movies, the most intimidating characters are never the loud ones. It's the ones who remain calm, composed, and deliberate. That's power. Final thought. The next time someone disrespects you, next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, your reaction is your power. The moment you react emotionally, they win. A pause is your greatest weapon. Delay your response, and you take back control. Your presence speaks louder than words. Stand tall, hold your ground, and let your energy command respect. Disrespect is a test. Most people fail because they let their emotions control them. A Stoic, however, sees it as an opportunity for self-mastery, for growth, for commanding respect without ever demanding it. The need to explain oneself or over-justify actions often stems from insecurity. A Stoic, however, understands that silence can be far more powerful than words. The most respected individuals don't speak more, they speak meaningfully. When you practice restraint in speech, you cultivate an aura of mystery and confidence, making people naturally pay attention when you do choose to speak. Imagine a scenario at work where a colleague publicly questions your ability to handle a project. Instead of rushing to defend yourself, take a moment. Look them in the eye, nod slightly, and let the silence linger. Often, they will start to fill the silence themselves, backtracking or softening their stance. When you do finally respond, do so with a calm and measured tone. This not only prevents unnecessary conflict, but also reinforces your presence as someone who is in control. Your words should be measured, purposeful, and backed by wisdom. The less reactive you are, the more powerful you seem. True strength is revealed not in immediate reactions, but in the ability to pause, assess, and respond with wisdom. When you remain composed in the face of provocation, you demonstrate inner strength and self-mastery. You are in control of yourself, rather than being controlled by external forces. Think about historical figures like Marcus Aurelius, or modern leaders like Barack Obama. Their ability to pause and think before speaking commands respect. If you've ever watched a great negotiator at work, you'll notice how they use silence as a tool. In moments of tension, instead of filling the air with nervous chatter, they let their opponent sit with their own words, often making them rethink their position. People respect those they cannot shake. When someone insults you and you don't react emotionally, They are often left disarmed. Over time, this establishes you as someone who cannot be easily provoked, further strengthening your presence in leadership, relationships, and personal interactions. Those who control their emotions always hold the upper hand. A Stoic does not let the noise of the outside world disturb their internal balance. They remain steady, knowing that true power lies not in reacting to every insult, but in mastering themselves and setting their own course. In silence, a Stoic commands attention. Their quiet presence speaks volumes, conveying an unshakable sense of confidence. The ability to remain calm in the face of disrespect not only demonstrates control, but also unsettles those who seek to provoke a reaction. Silence is more than the absence of words. It is a deliberate act of power. It forces others to sit with their own discomfort and exposes their need for validation. By refusing to react, a Stoic subtly shifts control of the interaction. Consider a social setting, maybe a heated argument at a family gathering. Someone takes a jab at you, expecting you to fire back. But instead, you take a sip of your drink, smile slightly, and say nothing. The tension lingers, but the power dynamic shifts. They realize they haven't gotten under your skin, and now they are the ones feeling exposed. Silence is also an effective tool in leadership, negotiations, and personal interactions. Those who speak less tend to command greater authority. Their words, when finally spoken, carry more weight because they are measured and intentional. In moments of conflict, silence grants the Stoic time to think critically rather than react emotionally. This allows them to assess the situation, determine the best course of action, or choose to disengage entirely. This restraint reinforces their strength, proving that their sense of self is not dictated by external forces. A Stoic also values silence for introspection. In moments of stillness, they reflect, analyze, and strengthen their mental fortitude. This quiet contemplation cultivates wisdom and refines character. When a Stoic walks into a room, their composed demeanor commands attention, not through arrogance, but through the sheer force of presence. They do not need to fill the space with unnecessary words or gestures. Their energy speaks for itself. Think of the iconic presence of someone like Keanu Reeves, rarely seen engaging in drama, never over-explaining himself. His quiet demeanor has made him one of the most respected figures in Hollywood, not because of what he says, but because of how he carries himself. When faced with adversity, a Stoic remains silent, not because they lack a response, but because they know that actions speak louder than words. This deliberate non-reactivity frustrates those who seek conflict and earns the respect of those who recognize true power. To master silence is to master oneself. It is a powerful weapon in handling disrespect and asserting control over one's own emotions. In the quiet, a Stoic finds strength, and in that strength, they command the utmost respect. Lesson 4. The Stoic's comeback disrespect does not always require silence. Sometimes it demands a response, but not the one your enemy expects. The Stoics mastered the art of the unexpected comeback, responses that neutralize disrespect while maintaining composure. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Here are some powerful techniques for handling disrespect with grace and intelligence. 1. The mirror technique. If someone insults you, simply repeat what they said with curiosity and a neutral tone. This subtly shifts the pressure back onto them, forcing them to think about their own words. For example, if they say, "You're so dumb," respond with, "Oh? What makes you say that?" This forces them to either justify their insult, which often makes them sound foolish, or back off. Most insults lack substance, and by not reacting emotionally, you disarm the person entirely. If they persist, remain relaxed and ask another question. The longer they are forced to explain themselves, the more uncomfortable they become. Over time, people learn that provoking you is pointless. 2. The Stoic's dismissal laugh, not in mockery but in amusement. A genuine chuckle signals confidence and detachment, completely disarming the other person. If someone says, "You'll never succeed," simply smile and say, Maybe, maybe not. Time has a way of surprising us all. This response achieves several things. It deflects the insult, it shows that their negativity has no power over you, and it subtly places the burden of proof on them. Instead of engaging in negativity, you allow your actions to prove them wrong. Responding with amusement rather than anger highlights emotional maturity and self-assurance. The more negativity bounces off you, the more futile their attempts become. 3. The power shift ask. An unexpected question that shifts the conversation in an unforeseen direction. This forces the other person to think, rather than react on impulse, disrupting their attempt to insult you. If someone says, "You're not even that smart," you can respond with, "Interesting." Define smart. Do you mean academic intelligence, emotional intelligence, or practical wisdom? This approach challenges their assumptions without escalating the situation. It also demonstrates confidence and curiosity rather than insecurity. By shifting the conversation into an intellectual exercise rather than a confrontation, you gain control over the interaction. Conclusion. A Stoic understands that true power lies not in reacting to every insult, but in choosing when and how to respond. Whether through silence, wit, or an unexpected shift in conversation, they maintain control of themselves and the situation. The less reactive you are, the more respect you command. In mastering silence and composure, you master not only your emotions, but also the way the world responds to you. When people realize they are being engaged on an intellectual level rather than an emotional one, they often falter. Additionally, posing a thought-provoking question subtly shifts the balance of power. It forces the other person to explain themselves, making them more vulnerable to scrutiny. Many people who resort to insults lack depth in their statements, and when prompted to clarify, they may struggle to respond effectively. Over time, using this technique strengthens your ability to remain composed and approach conflict from a place of control rather than defensiveness. It turns an insult into an opportunity to refine your own ability to navigate difficult conversations with poise and intelligence. By consistently practicing this method, you cultivate a level of emotional resilience that allows you to remain unaffected by negative words or actions. Instead of engaging in reactive behaviors, you develop a strategic mindset, analyzing interactions logically rather than emotionally. Handling insults with composure fosters a reputation of strength and wisdom. Others begin to notice your ability to rise above petty provocations, and in turn, they develop a greater respect for your presence. You set an example for those around you, demonstrating that true power is found in self-mastery rather than external validation. When you view insults as opportunities for growth, you begin to appreciate them as tests of your character. Each encounter becomes a lesson in patience, self-discipline, and mental fortitude. You transform what was meant to harm you into a source of personal improvement, reinforcing your ability to handle adversity with confidence. This approach also allows you to influence how others interact with you. When people realize they cannot provoke you, they often change their behavior, shifting from antagonism to curiosity or even respect. Your consistency in remaining calm disarms aggression, reshaping the dynamics of social interactions in your favor. As you continue refining this skill, you gain a deeper understanding of human nature and the motivations behind disrespectful behavior. You no longer take words at face value, but instead assess the underlying intentions of the speaker. This insight enables you to respond with wisdom and insight, fostering meaningful interactions even in moments of tension. Mastering this approach enables you to diffuse conflicts before they escalate. Rather than allowing negativity to spread, you maintain control over your own emotions and subtly guide the conversation toward a more productive outcome. Your composure becomes a stabilizing force, not just for yourself, but for those around you as well. Handling insults with poise and intelligence enhances your overall confidence. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to others because you understand your intrinsic value. Your ability to remain unmoved by negativity reflects a profound inner strength, one that speaks louder than any words of retaliation ever could. Lesson 5. The ultimate power. Indifference. At the highest level of self-mastery, disrespect no longer affects you, not because you fight it, but because you stop caring about it. A Stoic does not lose sleep over the opinions of those beneath him. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." A Stoic does not seek to erase disrespect, but to render it powerless. They understand that the world is full of individuals with differing opinions, and some will always attempt to diminish others to elevate themselves. Instead of allowing this to shake their sense of self, they use these encounters as training grounds for their own mental fortitude. Every insult ignored, every reaction tempered, and every moment of restraint exercised strengthens their inner resilience. The practice of indifference is not about ignoring reality, but about recognizing what truly deserves attention. A Stoic does not dwell on words spoken in anger or ignorance, nor do they carry the weight of others' insecurities. They focus instead on what they can control, their own responses, their own character, and their own sense of worth. By directing their energy inward, they cultivate an unwavering confidence that no external insult can diminish. A Stoic sees disrespect as a reflection of the other person, rather than of themselves. They understand that those who lash out often do so from a place of weakness, insecurity, or misunderstanding. Rather than meeting negativity with negativity, they choose to rise above it, demonstrating not just self-control, but true mastery over their own mind and emotions. The next time someone insults you, try this mental trick. Imagine their words floating away like smoke. Ask yourself, in 5 years, will this matter? Detach from the need to be respected. Ironically, that's when people respect you the most. Lesson 6. The art of silence, the Stoic's strongest weapon. A Stoic understands that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Silence can disarm an opponent, create intrigue, and demonstrate self-control. It is a weapon used by the wise while the foolish waste their energy arguing. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you show that their words hold no power over you. The Stoic philosopher Zeno once said, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." By refusing to engage in petty conflicts, you maintain your dignity and conserve your mental energy for battles that truly matter. Engaging in every minor dispute only depletes your emotional reserves, leaving you vulnerable to greater challenges that require a calm and strategic approach. Instead of wasting time on inconsequential disagreements, a Stoic directs their focus toward pursuits that enhance their wisdom, discipline, and inner peace. Each moment spent entangled in unnecessary arguments is a moment lost in self-improvement. By walking away from trivial conflicts, you demonstrate mastery over your impulses, proving that your energy is too valuable to be squandered on those seeking to provoke a reaction. This practice cultivates resilience, enabling you to navigate life's obstacles with a level-headed approach. Maintaining composure in the face of provocation strengthens your influence over others. People gravitate toward those who exude self-control and confidence. By choosing not to react to every slight, you earn respect and establish yourself as a person of integrity. In the end, the ability to rise above petty disputes is not a sign of weakness, but of true strength and emotional intelligence. Master silence, and you will master respect. Lesson 7. The power of self-respect, owning your worth. A Stoic understands that the foundation of respect begins with self-respect. If you do not value yourself, no one else will. Handling disrespect. Like a Stoic, how to command respect without saying a word. Have you ever been disrespected? Maybe someone talked down to you, ignored you, or tried to make you feel small. Your first instinct might be to react, snap back, prove them wrong, or demand respect. But here's the truth. Respect is never demanded, it's earned. A Stoic doesn't waste energy chasing approval or proving his worth to those who refuse to see it. Instead, he carries himself in a way that naturally commands respect. Lesson 1. Respect is earned, not demanded. Think about the most respected people in history. Marcus Aurelius, Nelson Mandela, or even someone like Keanu Reeves today, what do they have in common? They never asked for respect. They never argued for it. Instead, they embodied values so strongly that respect followed them naturally. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth." In other words, it doesn't matter what others think if you truly know who you are. Let's take an everyday example. Imagine you're at work. A coworker constantly interrupts you, undermines your ideas, or treats you like you're invisible. You could demand respect, confront them, complain, or argue. But would that truly earn their respect? A Stoic takes a different approach. Instead of reacting emotionally, he lets his actions speak louder than his words. He continues delivering high-quality work, remains composed in meetings, and sets firm boundaries. Over time, people notice. They respect him, not because he asked for it, but because he demonstrated his value. So, how do you apply this? Focus on mastering your craft, your work, your skills, your discipline. Maintain your composure when others try to test you. Set boundaries without drama, firm but calm. Respect isn't about making people like you. It's about being someone they can't ignore. Lesson 2. The strength in walking away. Have you ever been baited into an argument only to regret wasting your time? That's because some battles aren't meant to be fought. A Stoic understands that walking away isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Seneca said, "He who does not want to be insulted should not be concerned with what fools say." Think of a time you've seen someone try to provoke another person, maybe in a bar, online, or even in a family argument. The one who gets angry loses. The one who stays calm wins. Example: imagine you're in a heated debate online. Someone insults you, twisting your words to make you look foolish. What happens if you engage? You go back and forth, wasting time and energy while they enjoy pulling you into the mud. But if you walk away, you keep your dignity. You show that their words don't control you. In the real world, walking away means not feeding internet trolls, leaving an argument that isn't productive, exiting toxic relationships without needing a dramatic exit speech. Your silence is often more powerful than any comeback you could ever think of. Lesson 3. Turning disrespect into growth. Most people see disrespect as a personal attack. A Stoic sees it as training. Every insult, every rejection, every rude remark, it's all an opportunity to sharpen your mind, strengthen your discipline, and prove that you are unshaken. Think about Michael Jordan. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Instead of crumbling, he used that disrespect as fuel, training harder than ever, until he became one of the greatest athletes in history. Or consider Oprah Winfrey. She was fired from her first TV job and told she wasn't fit for television. Instead of believing that insult, she used it as motivation, refining her skills until she became an icon. The next time someone disrespects you, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve so that next time their words don't even register? Instead of seeing disrespect as an attack, see it as a gift, a challenge to become unshakable. Lesson 4. The power of forgiveness. Most people think forgiveness is for the other person, but in reality, forgiveness is for you.